Let's talk about the first sentence of a novel. It's so much more than just a start, right? It's the author's first handshake with you, the reader. It's their opening move. But what if it's even bigger than that?
Well, here's the big question we're diving into today. Can a single, perfectly crafted sentence actually set an entire world in motion? Can it reveal pretty much everything you need to know about this story that's about to unfold? Let's find out.
So what are these opening lines actually doing? I mean, they are doing some serious heavy lifting. They're not just a simple hello. They're establishing the author's unique voice. They're hinting at the story's deepest themes and conflicts, and they're even signaling the genre. You have to think of them as these deliberate, strategic, artistic declarations. Okay, first up, let's take a look at a modernist master, Virginia Woolf. She shows us that sometimes the biggest journeys can begin with the smallest, most ordinary actions. Mrs. Dalloway said she would buy the flowers herself. Sounds pretty simple, right? Almost mundane. But hiding just beneath that very plain surface is an entire psychological world waiting to be explored. So on one level, yeah, it's just a woman deciding to run an errand, but it's really a doorway straight into Clarissa Dalloway's consciousness. Even that formal name, Mrs. Dalloway, is a huge clue. It immediately sets up this tension between her public social role and her private inner self, and that conflict is what the entire novel is built around. And the way Woolf pulls this off is with a technique called stream of consciousness. The novel's action doesn't really kick off with a big plot event, but with a mental movement. That one simple sentence triggers this flood of memories and thoughts, and just like that, we're not just reading a story, we are literally inside someone's mind. All right, now let's shift gears completely, from modernism to postmodernism, with the one and only Kurt Vonnegut. He uses his opening line not so much to build a world, but to kind of blow up the very idea of storytelling itself. All this happened, more or less. I mean, listen to that. It sounds so casual, so off the cuff. But those last two words, more or less, that's an earthquake right there. With just two little words, Vonnegut completely sabotages his own authority as the storyteller. He's telling us right from the jump that memory is shaky, that historical truth is slippery, and that any story about a trauma as huge as the bombing of Dresden can only ever be pieced together, fragmented and incomplete. And this has a name. It's a classic postmodern move called metafiction. Vonnegut is basically winking at us, the readers, acknowledging that, yes, this is a story, it's a construction. He's tossing out the idea of absolute truth and instead just embracing the absurdity of trying to make any sense out of war. For our third example, we're turning to Jean Rhys, who uses her opening line to immediately draw the social and racial battle lines that are going to define her entire novel. They say when trouble comes close ranks, and so the white people did. Whoa, there is so much tension packed into this sentence. It starts with this vague bit of folk wisdom, this rumor, they say, and then it just pivots instantly to a very specific and very divisive action. This sentence is doing so much more than just setting a scene. It's practically declaring a conflict. By specifically calling out the white people, Rice instantly sets up this colonial hierarchy and an atmosphere just simmering with fear. Who is the they in they say? And more importantly, who is being excluded? The trouble is here from line 1. What she's doing here is a masterclass in what we call a post-colonial perspective. She completely flips the script. Instead of focusing on the power of the colonizers, she hones in on their insecurity, giving a voice to the colonized experience from the absolute get-go. And for our final example, let's look at the master of saying the most with the fewest words, Ernest Hemingway. His opening is a perfect example of his signature stripped-down style. He was an old man who fished alone in a skiff in the Gulf Stream, and he had gone 84 days now without taking a fish. Just notice the language here. It's a long sentence, sure, but it is incredibly direct. No fancy vocabulary, no complicated structure. He's just giving you the facts. But inside those simple facts, we find the whole story. His age, his isolation, his struggle. And that 84 days, that isn't just a number, it's a weight. You can feel it. It's the physical embodiment of failure, sure, but it's also a testament to this incredible persistence. This profound endurance in the face of defeat is such a core part of being human. And this is Hemingway's famous iceberg theory in action. We only see the very tip, the simple facts on the surface, but we feel the enormous weight of all those themes of struggle and dignity and perseverance that are hidden just beneath the water.
So what have we got? 4 different sentences, 4 different authors, 4 completely different worlds. What happens when we put them all side by side?
Well, you can see the distinct strategies laid out right here. Woolf dives inward, into the mind. Vonnegut looks outward and questions reality itself. Race maps the tense lines of social conflict, and Hemingway hones in on the raw physical struggle of one person. Each opening line is like a perfect miniature of the entire novel's project. And this really brings us to the key takeaway. A great first line isn't just the beginning of a story, it's an artistic declaration of intent. It tells you how to read the book, what to look for, and exactly what kind of journey you are about to embark on. So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. What's the best first line you've ever read? And now that you know what to look for, think about it. What universe did it contain?
4 words. That's it. But what does that even mean? This is one of the most famous opening lines in all of modern literature, and it just lands with this thud. It's confusing, it's definitely a little unsettling, and boy, does it beg a question.
And that's the question, isn't it? How can a number, a house, an inanimate object feel an emotion as complex and, well, as nasty as spite? That question is the whole point. It's a hook, designed to grab you and pull you right out of your world and into a new one. And that's exactly what we're here to explore.
So today, we're diving into the art and science of that very first sentence. We're going to explore how great novelists use just a handful of words to establish the entire tone, introduce huge themes, and literally create a universe before you've even turned the first page.
First up, we're going to circle back and solve the mystery of that spiteful house, really unpacking what makes that single sentence so incredibly powerful. Then we'll zoom out a bit and look at the theory behind it all. What is an opening line even supposed to do? This will give us the tools we need to analyze how the masters get it done.
See, the opening line isn't just where the story starts. It's more like a doorway. It's the threshold you cross from your reality into the author's world, and it has the absolutely crucial job of managing that transition. And you can actually break that job down into 5 key tasks. A great opening line sets the tone. It hints at the central themes, it establishes the unique voice of the storyteller, it makes you desperately curious, and it signals what kind of story you're about to get into. It's like a literary Swiss Army knife. So with that framework in our back pocket, let's look at 5 legendary opening lines and see how each one creates a completely different world from the ground up.
And we're starting right back where we began, with Toni Morrison's masterpiece. We have our analytical tools now, so let's apply them. What is this sentence really doing?
Well, Morrison personifies the house, turning a simple setting into a living, breathing, feeling character. This immediately creates a supernatural, almost gothic tone. It sparks that instant mystery we all felt, and it brilliantly foreshadows the novel's core themes, that trauma is alive, and the past is a ghost that literally haunts the present. Okay, now let's jump in a time machine and go back about 170 years to a line that might just be the most famous in all of English literature. It sounds so official, so certain, a truth universally acknowledged. But is it? And right there, that's the genius of irony. What the sentence says is that rich men want wives, but what it really means is that an entire society, one that's obsessed with status and money, is desperate to marry its daughters off to those rich men. From the very first sentence, Austen establishes her witty, satirical voice and introduces her central themes: marriage, money, and social status.
Okay, our next one is an absolute masterclass in manipulating time. We start in a moment of extreme tension. I mean, a man is facing a firing squad. But before a single shot is fired, we're pulled somewhere else entirely. The sentence begins in the future, the moment of death, and then immediately slingshots us into the past, to a memory. This non-linear structure tells us right away that this story isn't going to be told in a straight line. It's going to be a story built on memory, a world where the past and future are constantly colliding.
Next up, George Orwell. And this one starts so normal. It's descriptive, it sets a scene. It was a bright, cold day in April. Totally fine, right? Nothing to see here, but then...
And the clocks were striking 13. And with that one single, impossible detail, everything changes. The normal scene is instantly twisted, made unnatural. You know deep in your gut that something is deeply wrong with this world.
That single image does so much work. It creates this immediate unease. It symbolizes the totalitarian state's control over everything, even time itself. It perfectly establishes a dystopian atmosphere and foreshadows a world where reality is whatever the party says it is.
Our final example sounds like it's straight out of a kid's storybook. It's simple, rhythmic, and super familiar. Once upon a time. We all know where this is going. Or do we?
What Joyce does here is he uses this fairy tale rhythm to drop us directly into the mind of a very young child. We're seeing the world through his unfiltered sensory perception. It's a famous technique called stream of consciousness, which uses language to copy the actual flow of human thought. And ironically, he uses the classic fairy tale opening to begin a story that is anything but a fairy tale. It's a complex, often painful story of growing up.
So, we've just seen 5 legendary authors use their very first sentence to achieve completely different things. Let's put them all side by side to really appreciate the incredible range of strategies at play here.
So here's our little playbook. You've got Morrison, who uses this stark, haunting minimalism. Austen, with her sharp social irony. Marquez, who dives right into temporal complexity. Orwell gives us a single, powerful symbolic distortion. And Joyce pioneers psychological realism. 5 completely different doorways into 5 unforgettable worlds.
So why does all of this matter? Because the first sentence is never just a sentence. It's the blueprint for everything that's about to follow. And here's the key takeaway. Opening lines aren't just pretty decorations at the start of a book. No way. They are the load-bearing walls of the entire narrative.
They set the rules of the game, they tune our ears to the narrator's voice, and they give us the first crucial clues about the journey we're about to go on. They are the formal invitation to leave our world behind and step into another.
And all that leaves me with one final question for you. Think about the books you love. What's the first line that hooked you, that rattled you, that you still remember years later? That's the power of the first word.